It was a quiet night in Brightville, but Max had a big idea. "What if I could catch shadows?" he whispered, holding up his shiny new invention, a glowing net that sparkled like stars. Little did he know, this invention was about to turn the town upside down. Max, a curious boy with wild brown hair and goggles perched on his head, stood in his cluttered workshop. "This is it!" he exclaimed, holding up the glowing net. It shimmered and hummed softly. He waved it in the air and whoosh, caught his own shadow. "Whoa! It works!" Max shouted, jumping up and down. His shadow squirmed inside the net like a playful puppy. "Time for some action!" Max ran outside, swinging his net. Shadows darted everywhere on walls, trees, and even a passing squirrel. "Gotcha!" He laughed as he snagged the squirrel's shadow. The squirrel paused mid-leap, confused without its shadow. Suddenly, Max spotted something big, the shadow of the moon. It loomed over Brightville like a giant pancake. "Can I catch that?" Max wondered aloud. Max aimed his net at the moon's shadow and threw it with all his might. Zap! The net glowed brighter than ever as it pulled the moon's shadow down to earth. But as soon as the shadow disappeared, chaos erupted. The town plunged into darkness, no moonlight to guide them. People stumbled over curbs. Streetlights flickered nervously. "Uh-oh," said Max, realizing his mistake. Without the moon's shadow keeping them in check, shadows everywhere began to misbehave. They raced up walls like mischievous monkeys, danced on rooftops, and formed funny shapes. A giant bunny here, a wiggly octopus there. Max sprinted after them with his net. "Come back here!" he yelled as his own shadow zipped away into a carnival. The carnival was alive with lights and laughter until shadows took over. They hopped onto rides, stretched into silly shapes on tents, and played tricks on visitors. Max spotted his shadow riding a carousel horse. "You're not getting away this time!" he shouted, diving toward it with his net. Whoosh! He missed and landed in a pile of cotton candy. "Sticky situation," Max muttered. As Max cleaned off the candy fluff, the shadows gathered together to form enormous creatures. A towering dragon made of wiggly lines and a spaceship with spinning shadow wheels. "Whoa!" gasped Max as the dragon roared. The spaceship zoomed past him with a loud whoosh! Max climbed onto rooftops to chase the shadows. He swung his net wildly as they darted around him like playful birds. The moon's shadow joined in the fun, sliding across chimneys and hiding behind antennas. "I need to return that shadow before sunrise," Max realized. He leapt from roof to roof in pursuit. The shadows formed an airplane made entirely of darkness and zoomed into the sky. Max grabbed a kite from a rooftop and tied it to his net. "Let's fly!" he shouted as he soared after them. The chase was thrilling loop-de-loops, dives, spins, but Max finally snagged the moon's shadow just as dawn began to break. With sunrise moments away, Max hurried back to the hill where he'd caught the moon's shadow. He opened his net carefully and released it back into the sky. The moon's shadow stretched out gracefully and reattached itself just in time for morning light to flood Brightville again. The town cheered as shadows returned to normal. No more dancing dragons or runaway carousels. As the sun rose higher, Max walked through the town, seeing people smiling and waving at him. The carnival was back to normal, with laughter and music filling the air. Max felt a mix of relief and pride. Suddenly, a group of kids ran up to him. "Max, that was the best night ever. Can you teach us how to catch shadows too?" they asked in unison. Max chuckled. "Well, maybe not exactly like I did, but we can have some fun with shadows." He pulled out a smaller version of his net and began to teach them how to play shadow tag. The kids giggled and chased each other, trying to catch their shadows with the smaller nets. Max joined in, laughing as they all played together under the warm sunlight. As they played, Max realized that sometimes the best adventures come from unexpected places. He had turned a mistake into a fun game for everyone. Inspired by the night's events, the town decided to host a shadow festival. People made shadow puppets, created shadow art on walls, and even had a shadow dance competition. Max was the guest of honor, and he used his net to create a spectacular shadow show. The crowd cheered as he made a shadow dragon breathe fire. After the festival, Max returned to his workshop. He thought about his next invention. What if I could make a machine that helps people see the beauty in shadows? He wondered. With newfound enthusiasm, Max began working on a shadow projector. It would project colorful shadows onto buildings, making the town even more magical at night. A week later, Max unveiled his shadow projector in the town square. It lit up the night with vibrant shadows, rainbows, animals, and even a giant butterfly. The townspeople gasped in amazement. "Max, you did it again!" They cheered. Max beamed with pride. "This time, I made something to bring joy, not chaos." From that night on, the shadow projector became a part of Brightville's nightly routine. People would gather to watch the colorful shadows dance across buildings. Max learned that sometimes, the best inventions come from fixing mistakes and turning them into something wonderful. Max stood proudly in the town square, surrounded by friends and colorful shadows. "I guess some things aren't meant to be caught," he said with a grin. And that's how Max learned that curiosity is great, but sometimes it's better to let things be just as they are. He also discovered that mistakes can lead to amazing adventures and new traditions. Years later, Max became known as the Shadow Catcher, not just for catching shadows, but for bringing joy and magic to Brightville. His inventions inspired others to explore the world of shadows and light. And every time the moon was full, Max would look up and smile, remembering the night he caught the moon's shadow and started a super adventure that would never be forgotten.